Man, hey, could you let me talk to my neighbor real quick so he can save my computer? Please? Can you do that?
We're working on getting your property out. If you would have complied with us, you could have been there overseeing it.
But I told you that I can't do that. It's not according to law.
Let me just tell you something. My body camera's still on. It's been on since I got
I filed the appeal.
Let me tell you something. My body camera's been on since I got out of this car.
Why would
it's still on?
Why would
I tell you this right now, okay? If you would have complied with us and just let us do our jobs, and you want to sue somebody,
but
sue the county.
I have to
Steven, are you going to shut up and let me talk? You want to talk so much, but you're never going to figure anything out if you don't hear me out too.
I'm sorry, I had to do that.
Because you don't have to apologize. We're doing our fucking jobs.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. Is that the Castle law allows me.
Castle doctrine?
Yeah, the Castle doctrine. You're in violation of the law.
Okay, so what? If you would have shot us, you would have thought you were in the right?
No, it has nothing to do with killing somebody.
Well, I'll tell you right now, Castle doctrine law in Texas, also the main point of that law is staying your ground and allowing to use force to defend your house. Okay, but you're not within that. Okay,
well, that's what I'm trying. I'm under that. Not allowing somebody in your house is definitely proactive towards not having to.
So not letting somebody in your house. So
it's violating the law.
If you would have tried to kill a bunch of cops,
why would I kill a bunch of cops?
Okay, I'm just saying because you're quoting Castle law.
No, I'm just saying if you can kill somebody, you can definitely not let them in your place.
Okay, and when we tell you that we're there, we're forcing our way in.
And
we have a right.
And you're not there under the law. The writ's illegal because I filed the appeal.
Okay.
Why? Let's say I
would. No. You stop talking,
let me talk. It's my turn now. You just talk.
No, I'm responding.
Let's
to you.
Let's say we win. Let's say I win.
I'm about to shut this door, and you're not going to have anybody talk to you. Okay.
Let's say I win the appeal. What if I win? What if I win the appeal?
Then great. Then the freaking county court owes you money.
Then I just have to move right back in.
Then the county court's going to owe you a lot of money.
But that's a waste of process. That's a waste of process.
If you're not going to let me talk, I'm going to
That's an abusive process. It wouldn't work.
Are you going to let me shut the fucking door?
It wouldn't work like that.
Okay. Are you going to let me shut the door?
All right.
Because you don't want to talk.
It doesn't work that way. Why would they just
Watch
reverse
out.
something?
Watch out.
I paid. I'm
Watch
not
out.
liable.
Watch out.
Go check the appliances in there.
Okay.
The appliances do not work.
Okay.
What?
That's past Disney Drive. East, 1236, 59, 1485. Three 44, 36, 37 seconds.
Sure. You'll be a question on that East River 59, northbound Peter.
That's sir.
That's 36.
That's sir. Median is now. That's sir. How far we're from? That's sir.
2337, show medic 31 on scene.
That's sir.
Also log consent to search signed at 10:20.
That's sir. Go ahead.
Hey, Steven, do you have an ID on you by chance?
It's in my wallet.
Is it in your
I think
pants
it's
or
in
in
front seat.
there? In this car?
Yeah.
Okay, alrighty. What's your date of birth?
11/06/1985. Man, I didn't know that you guys were gonna arrest me if I didn't open the door. I'd have opened the door.
We gave you plenty of warning, man.
No, you didn't say you were gonna put me
Yes.
under arrest though.
We gave you ample
Yeah,
opportunity
not
to
until like
answer
the last
door.
second.
No.
Nah, that's on the body cams, man.
Once you start
Nah.
saying no, you're not opening the door. You know you're not. Coming
Yeah,
out,
but I was just
now
trying-
Now it's starting to get
I was
into
just
interference with public duty and civil
well,
process.
well, but you guys are not obeying the law in the first place.
And then when you started resisting, when we tried to pull
I
you
didn't
out,
resist.
yes, you did.
No, dude, the dude
Okay,
grabbed
that's
my
fine.
hand and started
That's
twisting
fine.
it. I did.
That's
I was purposely not resisting. I didn't. He said quit resisting. I didn't even have time to respond. I mean, that's crazy.
I mean, you had plenty of time to unlock that door.
Yeah,
and
but
come
I
out
did.
and
But
come
you
out
didn't
peacefully,
tell
man,
me.
but
You didn't
did.
tell me. Yeah, but what I'm doing is I'm trying to get a federal case going. There's no other way to get the federal case without you guys breaking the law.
Okay.
See.
All right. Well, take care of that later.
Looks like it's leaking down all over.
You guys said that I have to do that in order to in order to get the judge in trouble. If he indeed did not process the appeal according to law. See, because I filed the
when you did the appeal.
Huh?
Did you pay a bond when you did the appeal?
Well, the TPC 056 E3 065 E3
I thought you said you had an ID in here.
TPC should be in there. It's in the left side in that pocket. No, top pocket. Yeah. Well, see, you're allowed to withhold the rent if the guy's not fixing the appliances.
Did you file a suit?
Yeah.
No, you did.
Yeah, I did. No. But hey, that doesn't matter. You don't have to file it says you don't have to. It's without judicial action. You're allowed to withhold the rent if the guy isn't fixing the appliances. Dude, that AC in there, it was so hot. It was like above 90 degrees in the summertime. I couldn't get any work done, nothing. Okay, I had to cramp up in my bedroom, working on my computer. Man, it was miserable. It was not becoming. You know what I'm saying? To not be able to sit at a table, and I was paying $675 a month for this rundown POS. There's a freaking hole in the floor. Okay, the refrigerator broke because see these trees. This landlord is not trimming these trees, right? So they're falling. The dead limbs are falling on the roofs of these RVs, and they're puncturing holes, and the RVs are leaking inside, and then they're leaking onto like the electronics and stuff, right? So he didn't repair the roof like I asked, and then the refrigerator fried, and I think the AC fried then too, but I wasn't using it then because it was cold, right? So I asked him to repair the appliances like over 3 months, man, and then it started getting hot, and there was nothing I could do. And I read the law, and it says you can withhold the rent without judicial action, TPC 92.056E3, and so that way, that means that the court can't require me to pay the month of rent into the court, okay, because I can withhold the rent until the repairs are completed. And I don't have to file a repair and remedy suit, right? There's no law that says I have to do that. When he files the eviction for non-payment of rent, okay, and there's legal cause showing that I had the right to remedy by withholding the rent according to law, they cannot force me to pay that month of rent because the code supersedes, okay, and it says without judicial action. See what I'm saying? There's absolutely no legal right whatsoever. And I mean, plus the appeal has gone into the county court. If the appeal goes through and all my stuff is gone and it just has to, I have to move right back in, that's ridiculous, man.
Yeah, you can you walk off the turn lane, please.
Verifying your 50-seater. That's right. T.V.32 Walker, 7 North Graham. The supervisor is aware of North Graham with CPR in progress.
Are you aware of what's going on right now?
No.
Okay. Right now you're under arrest for criminal trespass
Okay.
and resisting arrest, okay?
Alright.
You're going to be taken to the Montgomery County Jail. You'll be processed over there, okay?
I'm
DA's already been contacted. I don't, if you're about to ask me about bond, I have no idea.
Okay. That's not a felony, is it?
No.
Okay.
It's all misdemeanors.
You can just let me go though, right? If I leave the property, it's a misdemeanor.
No, you made a decision now and we're at this point.
It's not a class A, right?
I don't know where
One's class A, one's class
I don't know where you're trying
Okay.
to like snake this through, but
Well, just let me go, man. It's a misdemeanor. I'll just walk.
no. So what's happening now is you're gonna go to jail, okay? Your chance to come out and walk down the road
Well, it's
was
just-
about
it's-
30 minutes ago.
It's looking like you guys tried to entrap me into getting arrested to get all my property stolen. You waited 2 seconds before telling me I was going to be arrested.
You got it in the middle. I'm gonna reach across you.
I'm just saying, man, it's pretty obvious. You know what I'm saying?
That's fine, man.
Well, I mean, what if I win the appeal? I just go right back into the place. Why would they not allow me? That
Well,
makes
a jury of your peers
that
will
makes
decide
it makes no sense.
It's alright, a jury
Now-
of your peers.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Secession's extenuation for recession.
You got a tangled up right here.
You know what secession's extenuation is, right? Like if the state seceded and then got rid of all the issues that we have and then refederated, like better and faster than it would just to go not in recession, you can see how recession would actually be more beneficial. Recession would actually be more beneficial.
Hey, Stephen, real quick. This is a trespass warning. Although the writ functions as the same thing. Okay, this is a trespass warning telling you that you can't come back to this address right here. And that's going to be good from 9/30/2024 to 9/30/2026.
Okay.
Okay. That's just what this says right here. Okay, it's just a warning. I'm letting you know now. It's a warning. The warning was already given with the writ. We told you you have to get out. You didn't get out, so that's where the trespass is coming from.
Understood.
Kind of like when someone is causing a problem at a store, and like, hey, the owners or whoever has the right to this property says like, hey, you need to leave the store, and the cops come and say, hey, you didn't leave the store.
But you saw the appliances aren't working in there, correct?
That's going to be for you for a suit.
Right.
I can't help that with
Well,
the writ.
that's what I'm saying is you are aware that you are in violation of the law.
That'll be what the primary.
As long as you're aware that you were acting outside of the scope of office,
All right. Do you understand what I told you here, though?
so the scope of duty.
Okay. Do you understand what I told you here, though?
I understand.
Okay.
All
All right.
Can I talk to my neighbor real quick? See if he can hold on my laptop for me.
That's what he's doing right here.
Huh?
That's what he's doing.
Thanks.
The part of the writ is that the landlord has to remove property from the place that you lost access to, basically, all your property, he has to maintain it for you so you have a chance to come get it back.
Okay.
So it's all going to maintain.
All right. But doesn't that
You bond out probably tomorrow.
do what?
As soon as you bond out, which is probably tomorrow morning, as long as you don't give the jailers a hard time,
Yeah, I'm good.
you can get contact with us and we'll get you the property.
I mean, I would have come out. I probably would have come out, man. I mean, it sucks to break a door like that.
It does.
But-
Hold on, one second. I'm probably just gonna build a separate, like, civil writ. Just keep it a civil writ. That's what we're here for. And have a no transfer and work off that call, but make them. Yes, and can you build a separate civil writ after the same thread and transfer all the outstanding calls? No, that's But yeah, if you're gonna sue, the thing is, you gotta understand, man, that we are commanded by county court. You know, we're county deputies to
Yeah.
go here and forcibly, hopefully not forcibly, like just ask you to leave and serve you the writ. But usually it goes pretty easy, and it's like if you got any kind of recourse, it has to be taken through the court system.
I understand. I understand.
To the lowest court.
Well, listen. If
We are just acting in good faith on the court order, and we have to.
yes,
Like,
that's.
hey,
But you can't. But that's what I'm saying is that constitutional law supersedes that kind of funny business because you're not a machine. You know what I'm saying? You're a free person. You're not in a military command. Okay, you have the same social rank as the judge, which means that you have the duty to use your abilities of cognitive deduction. Okay, that's just general constitutional law. Because if there were a mistake,
Is that a nice way of calling me stupid?
well, if there were a
Is that a
mistake,
nice way of calling me stupid?
if there were a mistake, let's say the judge, like just hypothetically speaking, let's say the judge was like sick with rabies or something, like got bit by a rabid animal out here, and was delusional, and wrote the writ out for the wrong address just on accident because he was sick. Okay, and you guys show up to the wrong address, and the person's telling you, "Oh, you got the wrong address," and you didn't stop and double check to make sure that the address was right under law. And that's what I was basically doing, was telling you that the law is not applicable to me in this case to pay the 1 month rent. Now, where you might be confused is with secession's extenuation. There's an extenuation going on right now because secession can be used to refederate higher against like corruption and fraud. Now, the fraud that evolved federal government, like tender issue fraud in the Federal Reserve and in the second bank, etc., that was such a horrible issue over so many thousands of years. They crucified Christ, the Rothschilds, like everybody's seen InfoWars, all that stuff, right? So, well, it turns out federal government, is designed with the ability inherently to break apart state of federation and then refederate without the corruption. It's kind of like obsoletes, revolution and war, right? So it's very important that that instrument and mechanism be demonstrated for the public, and especially for posterity and really for the rest of the world, so that they actually get the revelation of federal government and they see it work, and then it provides like a very critical shortcut for them to refederate in with us into a one world government under this indelible event, right? But the key to it is that the Constitution had to figure out a way to artificialize recession. So that's why you have a lot of these laws that would be otherwise unlawful, like government immunity for intentional torts and making people pay the first month rent before they get evicted. There was no other way put us into a hard enough recession to make people like me realize about secession, and then make all these connections, because it all ties into like quantum theory. Government has the same shape of time, past and future and present, states of federation, right? And it's the same shape of the atom, proton and neutron and electron, yada yada yada, right? So anyway, it's all ties into science, and government is a social technology. We're a free people, and this is a free instrument. And so yes, normally you would have been within the law for doing that, and you've probably been doing that for some time now, and that's been the general procedure, and it has been lawful. But in my case, because I'm in caveat properly for refederation, secession's caveat, etc. What I just said, I'm sorry. The law has to work normally for me, which may seem abnormal, but when I get into a federal court where they know all this stuff, it's not going to be, a big deal to argue the case, and it's definitely not going to be a big deal in front of a jury of your peers. Normally, they would probably rule in favor of the extenuation, but now that there's caveat, they will rule in favor of the extenuation the other way. See what I'm saying? It's confusing, and it's law, and that's the law enforcement proviso is confusing under the extenuation, because you would think that because the law enforcement proviso specifically codifies certain intentional torts that are capped, right? And some people take that to mean that only those intentional torts apply, when really all intentional torts normally apply, because an intentional tort is a violation of the law, and you need not explicate that because it's implicit. First line, second paragraph of the Constitution, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that certain rights are inalienable, etc., right? So, you want to open that up? Can you hear me? Okay. I just want to make sure the body cam gets this, just for the court case in the future.
Body cam's not on right now.
Oh, okay.
This camera's on right now.
Oh, okay, that's right. I'm sorry. Right on. Yeah, well, anyway, so that's how the law is, and everybody wants to run their own show, but the law was the law because that's what everybody has currently agreed upon, and the law can always change, but you can't enact the law. One cannot enact the law how they want to without first going through the diligent work and most legal motions of changing the law themselves before they enact the law how they want, right? And that's the beauty of federal law, is it can change. It has to be changed first, and until it's changed, the legal code has to be followed, because you could have some spiritual effect that ends up tripping you up in the future that's just unpredictable and nobody can predict. Like, let's say that there was a hacker that was abusing the ASCII weekend password standard, and he was hacking a company that manufactured semiconductors, to insert bot software to stuff that was being manufactured, so they would be able to infect people's computers without using the internet or something like that. Well, let's say an auto parts company got a machine that had one of these infected chips, and they manufactured a bunch of auto parts that were defective. And let's say this actual hacker got one of these auto parts and got in an accident caused by this auto part failure, and then went and sued the auto part manufacturer for it, and he was going to get a big settlement. But there was a judge, or maybe even a county clerk, that knew that he was a hacker, that knew that if he got his money on this big settlement, that there was probably going to be further crime committed by him, big time, right? Well, without proof that he was hacking and stuff, they can't deny this settlement, or even if in some cases they can't deny the settlement legally. Now, they can, out of prejudice, and violate the law, and they are allowed to do that. The judge can do that and violate the law if he can get away with it, right? But if that, let's say that happened, and that those damages didn't come out of that auto manufacturer, that auto manufacturer probably have a much harder time suing the appropriate parties, such as the manufacturer of their manufacturing equipment that had the faulty chip, and then even more so those two companies together going in against the actual state representatives that write the law on the password standards to update the internet password standards, right? So if that judge in the local district holds their ground and judges in favor of the law to the code, even though they know that it's going to cause a temporary recession by giving this criminal money, in net there'll be a much better gain, because that'll end up putting pressure on the legislators to fix the password standard that created his illegal demographic, the hacker category, all in the first place altogether. See, that's what I'm saying, is that it's very important to read the legal code and understand even more so almost the extenuation going on, because the extenuation is not written anywhere. It just says in the Constitution that the states have the right to secede, and it's pretty tricky because you're supposed to know automatically that, of course, that would imply refederation, right? And then to put all the other stuff together, that there would be an extenuation that would be compelling recession in favor of demonstrating this principle as an extenuation under the extenuation is very, very tippy top of the tongue, almost even pre-federal, right? So you can see how people would get like totally confused backwards and forth, and people like me end up going to jail, just because we're trying to do the right thing. And that's the same principle going on right there, and why I'll probably be able to get this stuff expunged from my record, because I was within legal boundary, because it says right there in the code that you're allowed to withhold the rent from the landlord, and the court can't make you pay the rent to them alone. You're paying the rent into the court and they're doing that on behalf of the landlord. So if the code states that you don't have to pay to the landlord, okay, the court can't make you pay that if indeed there was question that he was not repairing the appliances, etc., which is why the case were appealed. So the fact that the case was appealed, and the proceeding against this goings on under the consideration of extenuation for recession, the court's automatically going to go, okay, these guys didn't stop to make sure that they were within the law when they were being advised that they weren't. All right, and it's going to be just like you were at the wrong address and weren't paying attention to me telling you that you had the wrong address. Same exact idea. All right, just because it's tip of the tongue does not mean that you're exempt. To a certain degree, the state is going to be liable. Personally, they're not going to be able to come after you for penal charges, or maybe like departmental what is that, like what do they call that, administrative even, because recession's extenuation still applies to you. Recession's extenuation still applies to you because we're in a recession, right? And your government is more so recessive than you, even though you are more recessive than a citizen alone, because you're a part of the government. You against your government, even your government's more recessive than you are. So if they try to come after you personally, you can use FRE Rule 301 under civil procedure to state, hey, listen, this is a very complicated law. You guys didn't explain this to me before I went in there. I thought that I was acting within my scope of office. And so therefore, you can't prosecute me, more so than not. See what I'm saying? Now, I did call the the constable's office on Friday evening, and I did talk to the ladies there. Did y'all talk to them? Did they advise you to look at this information on my website about all of this?
That's going to be, so I don't work for the civil division.
No, I called the constable's office.
Yeah, I know. We're all the constable's office, but we have different divisions, and so we have different areas of expertise. Ergo, I don't work in and hand with the court. I don't serve papers. I don't serve prints. The order filling and the shooter's making are part of that division. So they refer that information to them. We were requested, I'm part of a control enforcement unit. And so is my sergeant and the other white guy and the unit officer. We were requested to hear information because of the nature of unsafe behavior and the possible threat to law enforcement. So that's my work.
Possible what?
Threat to law enforcement.
Yeah, why would they say that I was threatening law enforcement?
No, they didn't say threatening law enforcement.
Oh.
I said the possible threat to.
Okay, yeah,
I'm
well,
not saying you made a threat, but saying it's a higher risk than like the
Yeah.
average Joe, you know.
I can see that. I have a mental health record. Now get this, I had a real bad mental health record before I did chelation for thimerosal, right? And thimerosal is in all the vaccines, you know. It's got
You haven't ever attempted suicide, have
nah, man, nah. You know what mercury is, right?
you? Yeah.
Yeah, they took all the lead out of the gas, right? Well, thimerosal's got mercury in it. It's in all the vaccines. They haven't taken it out yet. Dude, I had the worst. I'm sorry, sir. I had the worst case of heavy metals poisoning you can imagine, and I had been that way since birth because I had all the vaccines at the hospital, at the neonatal unit, right? And I used to have to sleep all day. I had like hyperactivity disorder, and then when I got into my adulthood, like it started getting real bad because your brain stops growing like in your early 20s, and it was like walking off a blind cliff. And I ended up I used to drink really heavily because your body's trying to self-medicate because you got bad heavy metals poisoning. And heavy metals are cations, which means they have excess protons. Time, matter, and energy being equal, states of federation like I was talking about. The proton and the neutron have the most mass, just like the past and the future have the most time. So, matter E equals mc squared. The proton has charge, just like the past has charge. So issues in your past, like heavy metals poisoning, cation poisoning, tends to mimic issues in one's past accordingly, right? So I'm telling you, man, I had serious issues like up until I ended up listening to a late night radio show with this doctor, and I was really on my way out because I couldn't get up in time to hold a job. I mean, it was that bad. Like I don't know if you've ever done strenuous exercise, but if you do strenuous exercise and you don't get enough rest, you wake up and you're so tired you can't stay awake, or your eyes don't focus well. That's how tired I was every morning my entire life, and I just never knew the difference. And then I kind of fell off a little bit and ended up listening to this radio show, and then the guy was talking about thimerosal, and I instantaneously knew that was what was wrong with me. Because I went to school, college. I won the book award in physics. I was always like a top performing student until my brain stopped growing. And I had to drop out of college. But that's why I've got my website, exitfederal.org. Those are all the cards there that has all the stuff about secessions, extenuation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's all the mental health record stuff does not apply to me really anymore. I mean, I feel top of the morning now. I get up in the morning. I still have some lasting residual kind of leftovers a little bit. Just like if you were a bad burn victim, you know what I'm saying? That maybe some mild medication because it's like a more physical thing now. Like I kind of have I have like a little mild seizure if I think too hard, and I have a little bit of a cognitive delay, just because I probably have a lot of scar tissue in my on my neurons or something like that. I don't know. but I definitely have a lot of temporal suffering or personal injury from it. You know, because when you're for 27 years, when you're thrown off like that, I mean, there's I mean, that's pretty serious. Like most, you know, even if you like what I'm going through now is because I wasn't able to hold a job for like my first 7 years. I never got on my feet, right? So it's kind of like an animal that like might get injured and then like heal from it, might still die from that injury. You know, like 10 years later, right? So that's kind of, it's serious once you get older, and you know your parents, they don't want to hear this stuff. They don't know about it. They're just trying to be keep up with society. They can't help you, you know, and that's when things get serious. And so when the constables start going after people like that, normally that would be the perfect situation for recession to make people think about secession. And that would explain things like thimerosal or even like plasticizers that cause like, you know, hormonal issues and transgender stuff. That could justify that under some extenuation if indeed there were a greater net gain to be had. And that's how beautiful federal government is because it can bend with the, bend and flow with the tides of time, right? So anyway, that's why it's very important to be on your toes, you know, as an officer. And that's why I think that they should really educate officers in the future on the law. But if they did, we might have never really gotten here because the extenuation is it's not codified anywhere, you know? So you might have had officers following the code too much and people letting people like me get all our stuff and then just bounce on, you know, happy Mary on our way and never really get ground down hard enough to make the realizations, you know. So now that I'm here, you can see that, you know, if there were like actual undue corruption going on that we're acting, you know, before in recession, but they weren't aware that they were being recessive in the name of the law, if they decided to continue to process me recessively, that would be considered criminal, right? So that's just the God's honest truth. And I'll be honest, man, a lot of people like that I had a bad place in my heart for, but I don't think that they realize that this whole like epiphany in people would have never come about if they hadn't had followed their better instincts, arguably. And that's the truth. So there's like a critical juncture here where at this point it's possible for these people to kind of like do the same thing, because you're under recession, you know, you don't know what's everybody's been crazy. So like even when I was like, oh yeah, I knew I was going the right way against like the Federal Reserve, but I really wasn't, because if I would have gotten what I wanted, it might have been worse than we are now to be in recession. Because if you end the Fed, that's like your critical golden bullet. Like you have to have that to conduct the whole extenuation on the federal advent for the world government. Like that's the critical, not fulcrum. What is it? Yeah, that's a critical fulcrum for the whole game plan. So we could have arguably would have been worse off. So I could have been actually the more recessive aspect previously. So now it's just, you know, hypercritical that the correct people that actually were technically acting more so constitutionally by being in recession, you know, at odds with the people who thought that they were more lawful by wanting to end the Federal Reserve, realize that, okay, this is their critical juncture to claim their prize and to get along with everybody as one, you know, just muscle through it. Because I'm telling you, man, it was very difficult to muscle through, because you know when you're trying to end the Fed, you know there's something wrong with your instincts and you think it's that, right? But I think the other people were like, nah, you're not right, like, because they could sense. And I think that those people had probably like had issues that had occurred in their lives, like maybe when they were younger that I didn't, where they learned to trust their instincts no matter what. And I think that they were pretty certain that I was going the wrong way, and they knew it, but I don't think they understood exactly why, just as much as I didn't understand precisely why, things didn't feel right when I was trying to go the right way. You would think that they would feel right, but they didn't. So now at this point, you can tell the whole thing, it feels right, and you can even kind of perceive the kind of like the recession that's still going on. It's kind of like a dull hum, like a dull noise that is just part of the kit and caboodle, But I have a sense that if everybody goes ahead and goes through with this game plan, because the founding fathers definitely knew about this. I would definitely argue that they did. They had to, because they had nothing else to talk about. I would bet my bottom dollar that they thought about this, and that especially other like higher judges, federal judges, because Article 3, I mean, you're judging in favor of a intentional tort. I mean, you would have to start wondering about it, especially when some of these guys that were getting judged against, they were probably like real upstanding people that were really angry and probably went to jail for like a long time because they had like taken the law to their own hands and didn't do the correct research first. So I'm sure these judges were like kept up at night, like wondering about it, and I'm sure a lot of them eventually made the connection, because the F-22, the F-22 is built with only one-dimensional thrust vectoring, and the X-31 had two-dimensional thrust vectoring before it, and it was like a very perfect aircraft. So you got to wonder, they had to have. They had to have designed. They had to have designed that aircraft purposefully to not have two-dimensional thrust vectoring for some weird reason, to be that sophisticated, and then to go backwards in technology. And if you factor in secession's extenuation, it's almost like some sort of like a humor weapon, because the other air pilots, the other air forces, if they see our maneuver like that, I mean, it's hilarious, and it like completely and totally disarms people for the whole world government plan through it, right? Yeah, it's genius. So